Chapter 11. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The most valuable thing on that monster's body was its blood. The snake's skin, while worth a decent amount, was too much for Tian to carry by himself, and too much trouble to deal with. Mtlnovel and the others were likely closing in, so he couldn't stick around. That snake kept crawling toward that spot before it died. Maybe there's something over there that helped heal its wounds. Tian glanced over, and then his expression changed. Not far away, a stalactite hung from the cave ceiling, dripping liquid into a stone trough, which had collected a shallow pool. The liquid glowed faintly white, clearly not ordinary. Like those 100-year or 1,000-year-old stalactites you read about in novels. Tian wondered. He didn't know much about treasures like this, just guessing based on the stories he remembered, but whatever it was, it had to be good. So, Tian took out his last water bottle, dumped the remaining water, and carefully poured the stalactite liquid into it. There wasn't much, probably because the snake had consumed a lot of it. The bottle was only half full. Watching the drops slowly accumulate on the stalactite, he formed a plan. At this rate, it's only one drop a day. I can't wait, but I can't let other students get their hands on it either. I'll have to destroy it. Tian said grimly. He aimed his iron knife at the stalactite and chopped it off. Then, he covered up the spot. If a stalactite formed here, there might be even more valuable stuff deeper in the rock. But it's too hard for me to break through now. I'll explore it later. Tian said with a touch of regret. After covering his tracks and gouging out the snake's eyes, Tian left the cave. Less than 10 minutes later, a group of students followed the snake's blood trail to the cave. They stared in disbelief. The beast is dead, a warrior exclaimed. Damn it! Someone already grabbed its eyes. That's 1,000 points. Mtlnovel said angrily. The other students were furious. After all that effort, all those injuries, all the students who died, and they were beaten to the punch. Oh no! The heart's blood is gone too. Only ordinary blood left. Another warrior shouted. The beast's blood, the snake's eyes, the two most important things were gone. While the carcass was still worth something, Mtlnovel and the others didn't care about it. They turned and left. However, the corpse was valuable to the regular warriors, and they divided it amongst themselves. The Ono district was full of caves. Tian soon found a small one, killed whatever was living in it, and claimed it. He now had the snake's eyes, worth 1,000 points. For the next day and a half, he didn't need to hunt at all. He was practically guaranteed first place, but he didn't want to waste the time. He was going to train here. With this much beast blood, how much stronger can I get? Tian looked forward to finding out. He took a swig of the snake's blood and immediately began cultivating, using the forging method. Boom, star. The beast blood turned into a stream of energy that, along with the forging method, began to refine his body, accelerating his growth. Soon, the 18 actions were complete, and the energy from the beast blood was mostly used up. Tian carefully felt the changes in his body, and was overjoyed. Almost 4 times the cultivation speed. And that's just low-level beast blood. If I used mid-level beast blood, the effect would be even crazier. No wonder some people with no talent become martial artists in their 20s or 30s, or even elite martial artists. They must be using tons of beast blood. Tian figured. He took another swig and continued to cultivate. He was a medium-level talent, so he absorbed the blood far better than most. For someone with low-level talent, it would barely double the speed. With the beast blood, Tian's growth outstripped everyone else's. Hours passed in a flash. Tian realized he'd already performed the body forging method 10 times, but it felt. My body isn't tired. Can I do it again? That he decided to try. Tian practiced the body forging method again and found it was easy. There was no damage to his body at all. I get it. People can only do the body forging method 10 times because the human body has limited energy. Doing it more overdraws your potential. But with beast blood, it's different. The blood replaces the energy, so you can practice it many times. 10 is nowhere near the limit. I could even do it 20 or 30 times. Yi Tian was ecstatic. Maybe martial artists already knew this, but they kept it a secret from the trainees. Mostly because it was hard to get beast blood, and martial artists needed it for themselves. So they wouldn't let the secret out, or else the trainees would go wild. Even for big families, supplying that much beast blood to a trainee was impossible. Ha ha ha. This much blood is enough for me to train for 2 days. Maybe by the end of the trial, I'll be able to increase my strength to 400 caddies. Yi Tian clenched his fists, excited. He had to keep training. While Yi Tian was training, the outside world was in chaos. To get more points, many martial artists were fighting each other for rankings. But they were afraid to kill. The punishment would be severe, and someone could be watching. Even so, the weaker warriors were unlucky, and their hard-earned materials were stolen. Before they knew it, the 3-day trial was ending. A steady stream of warriors began to leave the Ono district. Chapter 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang He, 10 points. Li Yu, 15 points. Bao Lei, 23 points. Shui Hai, 0 points. The teacher tallying the scores glanced at Shui Hai, who was visibly injured. He obviously knew what had happened. Shui Hai had probably been robbed and beaten up, hence the 0 score. He showed no sympathy. If you weren't strong enough, you deserved to be robbed. Li Yunxing, 195 points. The students from the second academy cheered at Li Yunxing's score. After all, he was one of their own, a point of pride for their academy. Only 195? You think that's enough to challenge me? Mo Xiaobei sauntered out of the arena, sneering at Li Yunxing. He then proudly displayed his haul, 3 massive bags. The teacher carefully counted Mo Xiaobei's spoils and announced a staggering score. Mo Xiaobei, 427 points. Seriously, Li Yunxing's face fell. You must have been robbing people. He accused. That's just my skill. Mo Xiaobei retorted with a smirk. Li Yunxing flushed, unable to come up with a reply. Wow, 427 points. Mo Xiaobei must be in the lead. Among the first academy's 5 geniuses, he's definitely the strongest. He's practically the top fighter in Linhai. No one could have gotten more points than that. Haven't you heard? There was a spotted snake beast in the Ono area. It was badly injured in a fight with a bunch of warriors, and someone swooped in and stole the kill. That spotted snake is worth 1,000 points. Who got the spotted snake's eyeballs? Just those eyeballs are enough to take first place. Talk about lucky. Yeah, but it was snatched from a group of warriors. Mo Xiaobei and his crew are ruthless. If that guy actually tries to cash in those eyeballs, he'll be exposed and end up on Mo Xiaobei's bad side. So what? First prize is 3 doses of mid-grade beast blood and 100,000 yuan. Who cares if you offend Mo Xiaobei? He wouldn't dare do anything at the Linhai base, would he? Probably not, but Mo Xiaobei is a member of the Mo family here in Linhai. He could make that guy's life miserable enough that he'd regret ever getting involved. Mo Xiaobei ignored the chatter, his eyes fixed on the entrance. He's not giving up that top spot, I know it. Once I figure out who he is, he's toast. A fierce glint flashed in Mo Xiaobei's eyes. Just as time was about to run out, a teenager emerged from the Ono area, loaded down with bags, large and small. It was Yi Tian. Here's my haul, teacher. Could you add it up, please? Yi Tian said, handing the bags to the scoring teacher with a smile. The teacher opened the bags, carefully tallied the contents, and announced, a total of 163 points. Not a bad score, almost in the top 10. Actually, I have something else here, Yi Tian added, pulling out the spotted snake beast's eyes. As soon as the eyeballs appeared, a faint wave of bestial energy radiated from them. You got the spotted snake's eyes? The teacher looked at Yi Tian in surprise. These are worth 1,000 points, making your total score 1,163 points. A wave of cold stares swept towards Yi Tian. Who are you, stealing the spotted snake's eyeballs? Mo Xiaobei demanded icily. One of Mo Xiaobei's cronies leaned in and whispered, "Boss, he's from the Fifth Academy." Fifth Academy? Mo Xiaobei seethed with anger. The students from the Fifth Academy were just dirt in his eyes. For one of them to snatch the spotted snake's eyes and beast blood from him. It was a slap in his face, and a slap in the face of the First Academy. He didn't necessarily need the mid-grade beast blood, not with his status. He could advance to martial artist level any day, and gain even more status. There'd be plenty of ways to get the blood then, but he couldn't tolerate the insult. Stealing? Hardly. The beasts in the Ono area aren't yours. I saw it, I hunted it, it's mine, Yi Tian retorted. He wasn't afraid of offending Mo Xiaobei. If he could get the mid-grade beast blood, his talent would let him reach the martial artist level soon, and he could keep copying his talent. He'd surpass Mo Xiaobei in no time. Besides, this was Lin Hai. Mo Xiaobei might try some petty tricks, but if he went too far, he'd regret it. Mo Xiaobei knew that arguing was pointless. He glared at Yi Tian, spitting out the words, "Just you wait." The others shot Yi Tian unfriendly looks but remained silent, knowing that Mo Xiaobei would handle things. The trial was over. Yi Tian happily claimed his 3 doses of mid-grade beast blood and 100,000 yuan. 3 days later, Yi Tian had spent those 3 days consolidating his foundation, fully absorbing the remaining low-grade beast blood. Instead of immediately taking the mid-grade blood, the spotted snake's blood had been fully depleted and had given him a significant boost in strength. He figured his current strength was about 420 caddies, making him a mid-level martial student, but it wasn't enough. I wonder how much stronger the mid-grade beast blood will make me. Yi Tian stared at the small bottle of mid-grade beast blood, muttering to himself. He dared not chug it all down at once, and only took a small sip. Boom. The power unleashed by the mid-grade beast blood was incredibly violent, far more than the low-grade, but the benefits were also far stronger. Yi Tian gritted his teeth against the intense pain, and began cycling through his body-forging method over and over. Time ceased to matter, his body simply performed the technique on instinct. Finally, Yi Tian sensed that the mid-grade beast blood's energy was almost gone, and slowly stopped. I just cycled through the body-forging method 8 times. Yi Tian was amazed. 8 cycles in one go. He wouldn't have dared try it before, or his body would have broken. But with the help of the mid-grade beast blood, he'd pulled it off, and felt full of energy. He sensed the change in his strength and calculated how much the mid-grade beast blood had amplified his efforts. 8-fold increase. Yi Tian concluded if he could keep training with the mid-grade beast blood, he might be able to reach the martial artist level in a month. The effect was incredible. Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 intermediate beast bloods should give me 5 days of cultivation, enough to boost my strength to 600 caddies, maybe even more. Yi Tian made a quick calculation. 600 caddies of strength, combined with his speed and swordplay talent, should be more than enough to take down any martial arts student. He might even be a match for newly promoted martial artists. Oh yeah, I need to figure out what that stalactite I got actually does, ASAP. Yi Tian was hoping it would really accelerate his training, maybe even let him break through to martial artist level early. Over the last century, tons of rare treasures have been discovered, so someone put together a treasure guide to help martial artists identify them when they're out in the wild. These guides are pretty cheap. Only about $1,000. Yi Tian couldn't have afforded one before, but now he was flush. Besides the 3 beast bloods, first place also came with 100 grand, so Yi Tian went to the store and bought the most comprehensive treasure guide he could find. Back home, he flipped through it page by page, and finally found an entry about stalactites. Earth's core liquid, absorbs natural energy for centuries within ley-lined stones. Can improve cultivation talent, but only effective for those with below-average potential. In rare cases, the source stone can become a birthplace elemental stone, which can enhance the talent of martial artists with advanced potential or lower. Yi Tian's breath caught in his throat as he read. Holy crap, this thing can actually improve someone's talent. If I sold this, I'd make millions, maybe tens of millions. He muttered, but the thought vanished as quickly as it came. Selling the Earth's core liquid would be a death sentence. Now he understood how that spotted snake had managed to evolve into a fierce beast. He remembered checking its stats back then, and its bloodline talent was already above average. It was completely different from other spotted snakes. The Earth's core liquid must have been the reason. Otherwise, there was no way that snake would have ever reached the fierce beast level. Too bad the Earth's core liquid doesn't do much to improve cultivation itself, and I'm not really lacking in talent anyway. Even if it did help, I wouldn't need it. And I can't sell it, so what am I supposed to do with it? Tian said, feeling a little deflated. Then, he thought of his sister, Yu. Wait a minute, my sister's talent is only second-rate. What if she took this stuff? Could it boost her to first-rate, or even average? He wondered. During lunch, Tian looked at his sister and said, "Sis, try this stuff. It's really good for you." He pulled out the Earth's core liquid and put it in front of her. What is it? Yu looked curious. She wasn't worried about her brother trying to poison her, just whether it tasted gross. A superpowered tonic, Tian said seriously. He didn't tell her what it actually did. She didn't know anything about cultivation, so she wouldn't understand what talent was. Telling her would just make things complicated. Aren't you gonna drink it, bro? Yu looked at him with wide eyes. I already did. This is for you. Tian ruffled her hair affectionately. Okay, I'll drink it then. Yu gulped down the Earth's core liquid. There wasn't much, and she finished it quickly. How do you feel? Tian asked, eagerly. He had never taken the stuff himself, so he didn't know what to expect. The treasure guide said it was safe, though, because the effects were mild. I feel warm and cozy, Yu replied. Sis, this is really precious, so don't tell anyone about it, okay? Just keep it between us. Tian said solemnly. He was worried she would spill the beans while playing with her friends. If anyone figured it out, they could be in serious danger. I won't. Yu nodded. They continued eating. As they ate, Tian used his copying ability to constantly monitor Yu's talent. After about 3 minutes, it finally changed. Human, Yu, cultivation talent, first-rate, ice talent, dormant. An hour or so after lunch, Tian noticed another change. Human, Yu, cultivation talent, average, ice talent, dormant. Her talent remained average the next day. That was clearly the limit. Since the Earth's core liquid only worked on those with average or below average talent, and Yu was already average, she couldn't improve any further. My sister's already got average talent and ice powers. She'll be a top martial artist in Linhai someday for sure. Tian was thrilled. Now that he had money, Tian re-enrolled his sister in school. After all, she was only 13. Staying home all day would drive her crazy. At school, she could learn stuff and make friends, which was exactly what she needed. At first, she didn't want to go, since she knew their family was struggling. But when Tian pulled out 100,000 yuan, she changed her mind. He told her he'd won the money in a school competition, which wasn't exactly a lie, since the trial was technically a competition. With his sister back in school, Tian could finally focus on his own cultivation. A month flew by. By this point, Tian had used up all the intermediate-level fierce beast blood. Thanks to a month of hard work, his strength had increased again, reaching 800 caddies. 800 caddies was high-level martial arts student territory. He was close to reaching martial artist level. In terms of combat power, Tian was almost on par with a real martial artist. Without the fierce beast blood, his progress had slowed considerably. He wasn't strong enough to hunt fierce beasts in the wild yet, so he was stuck slowly building his strength. The Mo family, Mo Xiaobei had returned from his training. He had been in seclusion since the end of the trial, trying to reach martial artist level. Now, he had finally done it. The entire Mo family was celebrating. While everyone was talking about Mo Xiaobei, he was in a private discussion with his old servant. Elderly, how's the investigation coming? Mo Xiaobei asked, staring intently at Li Hai. Chapter 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Hai was a martial artist, but just a low-level one. At 60 years old, he'd never risen above that. He was a servant assigned to Mo Xiaobei by his father and had been doing his bidding ever since. Young master, I've looked into it. This Tian is from an ordinary family. His parents were martial artists, but they died in the wild over a year ago. Now it's just him and his sister, Li Hai reported. If I hadn't been in seclusion trying to break through, he wouldn't have lasted a month. Find someone and take him out. Mo Xiaobei said, his voice dripping with malice. Li Hai's face tightened. Young master, if we kill someone within the base, and anyone finds out, even the Mo family's influence might not be enough to smooth things over. If they find out, yeah, we're in trouble. But what if they don't find out? Mo Xiaobei smirked. Don't find out? Li Hai suddenly got an idea. You want to call in Shadow? But Shadow doesn't come cheap. It'll be at least $1 million, that $1 million to kill a martial apprentice seemed excessive to Li Hai. And Mo Xiaobei, being newly promoted, likely didn't have much family money to play with, maybe just a little over $1 million. That kid's got potential. He reached the martial apprentice level so young. He's probably a primary talent, maybe not medium. But even so, with those enhanced fierce beast bloods, he could be a martial artist in a year or two. Killing a martial artist is different. I want to nip it in the bud. $1 million's a lot now, but what's $1 million in a year or two? Mo Xiaobei explained. I understand, young master. I'll contact Shadow. Li Hai said, then retreated, alone in the room. Mo Xiaobei muttered, Shadow's only a second-rate talent. He's stalled out since becoming a martial artist. But he's a rare, multi-talented fighter. He can hide in shadows so well that even elite martial artists struggle to detect him. He's terrifying. Even I might not survive his assassination. Let him handle Tian. Tian is dead. He pushed the matter aside and focused on his own training. The next day, Tian finished his usual training in the Academy Grove and prepared to head back. As he was leaving, his expression changed. His eyes narrowed. He glanced at the base of a tree 10 feet away. It was a good-sized tree, and under its shade, there was nothing, just empty space, but Tian knew someone was there. Human, Li Cun, cultivation talent, inferior, shadow talent, elementary. His copying ability had become second nature. He could sense everything within 10 feet, and he knew when someone or something approached. It was how he stayed safe. This Li Cun must be using his shadow talent to conceal himself. That's why I can't see him. He awakened that talent, so he's definitely a martial artist. Second-rate talent, so he's probably a weak, early-stage martial artist. In an instant, Tian had sized up Li Cun. It was evening, the academy students were mostly gone. He was alone in the grove, and Li Cun's reason for being there was obvious. Here to assassinate me? Tian thought. He didn't know Li Cun, so someone had hired him. The culprit was clear. Mo Xiaobei. Tian's eyes flashed with anger. He'd thought Mo Xiaobei would just mess with him a little, but he hadn't expected him to go as far as hiring an assassin. If I survive, Mo Xiaobei, you're dead. Tian vowed. The situation wasn't ideal, but it was also an opportunity. His copying talent could be used again, and he hadn't decided what to copy. Now, a perfect opportunity had walked right to him. The shadow talent was definitely a game changer, and once he had it, a lot of doors would open. To get the shadow talent, I have to kill Li Cun first. Tian thought calmly. He walked slowly, sensing the deadly intent closing in. He knew Li Cun was about to strike. But as Li Cun prepared to move, Tian struck first. Whoosh, Speed talent activated. With a base strength of 800 pounds, Tian was already fast. With the speed talent boost, He was faster than most martial artists, and not far behind even mid-stage ones. Li Cun thought killing a martial apprentice would be easy, so he hadn't been particularly concerned. He was caught completely off guard by Yi Tian's speed. Die! Yi Tian slashed with his fine iron knife *rip*, the iron knife sliced through something, and a streak of blood flew out. Boy, you've got a death wish. Li Cun emerged from the shadows, a nasty wound on his right arm. If Yi Tian had been stronger, he would have lost the arm entirely. Injured, Li Cun attacked with his left hand, knowing it would limit his combat effectiveness, but he still thought he could take down a martial apprentice. But he was quickly proven wrong. Yi Tian's speed was far superior, and his swordsmanship was exceptional. Even after 20 years with a blade, Li Cun's skill was no match. Yi Tian used his speed and skill to suppress Li Cun, and the bleeding from his injured right arm only made things worse. Suddenly, Yi Tian saw an opening and slashed at Li Cun's chest, inflicting a serious wound. Boy, just you wait. Li Cun's figure flickered, and vanished, but Yi Tian didn't stop. He continued to slash at the empty space, boom, his blade struck a figure, sending it flying. It was Li Cun. Damn it! You saw through my shadow talent? Impossible! Li Cun was incredulous. At the Linhai base, not even elite martial artists could see through his ability. Only great martial artists could use their mental power to detect him. His shadow talent had made him someone martial artists in Linhai base feared. How could he be so humiliated by a martial apprentice? Yi Tian didn't speak, replying with another strike. Soon, Li Cun couldn't keep up. Yi Tian slashed his neck, killing him instantly. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank goodness, the body's in one piece. Otherwise, I'd be out of luck and wouldn't be able to copy his talent. Yi Tian sighed in relief. He knew from experience in the Ono area that a mangled corpse meant no talent to copy. Time to copy the shadow talent. Focusing, Yi Tian started the process almost instantly. The shadow talent was his. Instead of heading home, he decided to fuse with the talent right there. Fusing a basic shadow talent wasn't too bad for Yi Tian. He was much stronger than before and had a higher pain tolerance from fusing other talents. He only felt a slight ache, and broke a little sweat, but nothing major. 10 minutes later, the shadow talent had merged completely. Yi Tian status screen updated. Name, Yi Tian, cultivation talent, medium, speed talent, basic, knife talent, medium, shadow talent, basic. For talents now, Yi Tian was pumped. He didn't know about other bases, but he was sure that nobody in Linhai base had more talents than him. He was probably unbeatable at his level in Linhai. Wonder if Li Cun's got anything good on him. Yi Tian examined the body closely. Li Cun's knife was pretty sweet, a black blade with a blood groove. It was in great shape, unlike his own knife, which was trashed after the fight. This has gotta be a high-quality weapon. I can use it. Stoked, Yi Tian pocketed the black knife and rummaged through Li Cun's clothes. He soon found everything: a skill book, 3 gold cards, 5 white cards, and some loose cash. Yi Tian was even more excited about this loot than he was about the shadow talent. Each gold card was worth 1,000,000 yuan, and each white card was worth 10,000. That was over 3,000,000 yuan total. The gold card is like a bank card from my past life. The Linhai base doesn't have the tech to make them. Supposedly, some bigger bases do. The bank here is run by one of those big bases, so I can withdraw the money even if I go there. Yi Tian thought to himself. Suddenly worth over 3,000,000, Yi Tian's financial situation had improved dramatically. Combined with the shadow talent, he felt he could get strong quickly, maybe even to the point where the Mo family wouldn't mess with him. Still gotta deal with Mo Xiaobei. A hint of murderous intent flashed in Yi Tian's eyes. He was now locked in a feud with Mo Xiaobei. Even if he didn't go after Mo Xiaobei, Li Cun's disappearance would raise red flags and suspicion, and that would definitely point to him. The next hit could be a late-stage or even elite martial artist, so he had to take out Mo Xiaobei ASAP to end this problem. Of course, he couldn't kill Mo Xiaobei as himself. That would be a death wish. The Mo family would retaliate for sure. Wait, I've got an idea. Yi Tian looked at Li Siyuan's body and grinned. Now that he had the shadow talent and Li Siyuan's knife, he could impersonate him. First, gotta hide the body. Yi Tian quickly found an empty spot, dug a deep hole, buried Li Siyuan, and covered up any trace of it. Even if the body turned up later, it would be a while, and he'd be in the clear by then. Night had fallen by the time Yi Tian got home. He didn't rest, but started familiarizing himself with the shadow talent. The shadow talent wasn't as OP as he thought. He couldn't just stay in shadow form all the time. Being in the shadows used energy and required actual shadows. Any light would expose him. Also, he couldn't attack in shadow form. Any attack would break the camouflage, and conversely, any attack he received would also end it. The shadow talent was perfect for hiding, assassinating, and dodging. It wasn't for head-on fights. And this skill book. Yi Tian pulled out Li Siyuan's book. His excitement grew the more he read. It was a knife skill manual, Shadow Strike. Shadow Strike had only one move, a lightning-fast slash called Shadow Kill. But what really got Yi Tian going was the explanation of the way of the blade. Even though he had a medium knife technique talent, he didn't know much about that. The way of the blade had 3 levels: form, potential, and essence. Anyone could swing a knife, but only a few could master the form, and even fewer the potential. The only way to reach potential was with knife talent. Also, Shadow Strike was a bronze-level skill, meaning it was seriously powerful. Mastering it would boost his fighting power significantly and let him take on stronger opponents. According to this, knife skills are split into 4 levels: iron, bronze, silver, and gold. Some might master iron level, but without knife talent, you can't even begin to practice iron, let alone bronze. Li Siyuan had bronze skills, but he didn't have the talent. Otherwise, I'd be dead. Yi Tian thought happily. Mo Xiaobei can wait. I'll learn Shadow Strike first. Once I've mastered it, that's when I'll strike. Yi Tian decided. With his medium knife talent, he had an incredible feel for knife skills. In just 3 days, he had already mastered Shadow Strike to entry level, something most people couldn't do in a lifetime. His path had also improved slightly, and he could be regarded as having achieved the realm of great accomplishment in the knife shape, and it was not very far from the knife momentum. Late at night, Mo's family, Mo Xiaobei's residence, Mo Xiaobei was ticked off. 3 days, and still no word from Shadow. Standing next to Mo Xiaobei, Li Hai could tell his master was not happy. Elderly, that Shadow guy hasn't just run off with my money, has he? 3 days with no news. Can a martial artist really not find a chance to take out a nobody? Mo Xiaobei asked coldly. Young master, even though Shadow's greedy and always wants payment up front, he's got a good reputation. Maybe he took another job at the same time and hasn't gotten around to it yet? Better be. Otherwise, I'll show Shadow how scary our Mo family really is. Mo Xiaobei forced himself to calm down and waved Li Hai away. Li Hai left Mo Xiaobei's place and headed out. The night was pitch black, and a murderous air hung over the Mo mansion. Li Hai felt a shiver and chuckled, guess I'm just being paranoid. Who'd dare mess with me here in the Mo family? That just as he was about to leave, a figure flashed beside him, and a black blade sliced toward him. The strike was so fast that Li Hai only caught a glimpse of a black knife before losing consciousness. As he faded out, he thought of one name, Shadow. Why's Shadow killing me? That was Li Hai's last thought. Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After taking out Li Hai, Yi Tian melted back into the shadows. What was that? Mo Xiaobei heard a sound outside, like something falling. He couldn't see what was happening, but he called out, Li Hai, what's going on? Silence. Something's wrong. Mo Xiaobei thought grimly. Li Hai had just stepped outside, and with a warrior's hearing, he should be able to hear Mo Xiaobei from 100 yards away. The fact that he wasn't answering meant trouble. A wave of fear washed over Mo Xiaobei. I can't go out there. No way. He had a gut feeling that stepping outside meant death. Help! Mo Xiaobei yelled. He didn't know if it would work, but he wasn't going to just sit there. Even though the Mo family didn't have a huge number of martial artists, any commotion would attract attention, bringing the heavy hitters of the Mo family down on anyone causing trouble, and even elite martial artists would have a hard time escaping the Mo estate. Outside, hidden in the shadows, Tian heard Mo Xiaobei's shout and realized waiting for him to come out wasn't going to work. Mo Xiaobei's too cautious, too chicken to come out. Looks like I'll have to bring the fight to him. Tian deactivated shadow talent, switched to speed talent, and charged towards Mo Xiaobei's room at triple speed. In the blink of an eye, he burst through the door. Mo Xiaobei was stunned to see Tian. Then, he noticed the black knife in Tian's hand, and his face paled. The shadow's black shadow knife. You killed the shadow. Now it all clicked. The shadow hadn't responded for days because Tian had taken him out. So, you did send someone after me. Tian had been 90% sure it was Mo Xiaobei before, but now he had confirmation. You don't have any Yuan power aura. A martial artist might be able to assassinate a waist like Li Hai, but you have no chance of killing me. Just give me a minute, and the Mo family masters will be here. You're dead. Mo Xiaobei forced himself to stay calm, even though he was panicking inside. The shadow was a terrifying killer, someone even seasoned martial artists feared, and Tian had taken him down. Even if Tian was a martial artist, he was way stronger than anyone expected. 1 minute. You won't last 10 seconds. Tian moved. Shadow kill. The black knife became a streak of black lightning, slashing at Mo Xiaobei with incredible speed. Augmented by speed talent, it was a blow that could instantly kill an entry-level martial artist. Mo Xiaobei was talented and reacted quickly, trying to block Tian's black shadow knife with his sword, but he underestimated Tian and the power of the bronze-level sword skill. The knife flashed, and Mo Xiaobei's right hand tumbled to the floor, severed in a single strike, before Mo Xiaobei could scream. The second move of Shadow Kill arrived, aimed directly at his neck. No! Mo Xiaobei screamed inwardly, desperately trying to dodge, but it was no use. His head flew off his body and landed a few feet away, eyes wide with disbelief. After killing Mo Xiaobei, Tian didn't even bother grabbing the loot. He bolted out of the room, activated shadow talent, and fled into the shadows, making his way out of the Mo family compound. Under the cover of darkness, Tian stuck to the shadows. He passed close to Mo family guards, but none of them noticed him. He didn't dare to stick around. He had no idea if the Mo family had any hidden grand martial artists. Officially, there weren't many grand martial artists in the coastal base, but that wasn't the whole story. Ever since he learned that there were a lot of medium talent martial artists in the Linhai base, he knew there were definitely more grand martial artists than people thought. They were probably hidden trump cards of the major families, only brought out in emergencies. But if a medium talent genius died, and the Mo family had a grand martial artist, they would definitely be out for blood. Against a grand martial artist, 100 Tians wouldn't stand a chance. Soon after Tian left the Mo family compound, Mo Xiaobei's residence swarmed with the Mo family's top brass. A middle-aged woman saw Mo Xiaobei's head and cried out, "My son!" Before fainting, the rest of the Mo family wore grim expressions. Who killed my son? A muscular warrior roared. His aura exploded, forcing the surrounding martial artists and even ordinary warriors to retreat, afraid to get too close. This was an elite martial artist, a mid-level elite martial artist, one step away from the late stage. He was Mo Xiaobei's father, the 10th elder of the Mo family, Mon. 10th elder, calm down. An old man urged. Mon's eyes were bloodshot with tears, consumed by rage. I only had one son. His talent was above average. Even I only have beginner top talent. I had to spend an insane amount to reach the mid-elite stage, but I can't improve any further. My son was going to reach the grand martial artist level. He was my hope and the Mo family's hope, and now he's dead. He died in our own home. How can you ask me to stay calm? Just then, an even more powerful presence descended, causing all the Mo family disciples to lower their heads in respect. Even Mon calmed down a little. They knew it was the Mo family's grand martial artist, the ancestor Mo Chongqing. Ancestor, Xiaobei is dead. Mon knelt before Mo Chongqing, tears streaming down his face. I know. Mo Chongqing was angry too, but it was done. The only thing left was to find the killer and avenge Mo Xiaobei. Mo Chongqing walked to the scene, first examining Li Hai's corpse, then Mo Xiaobei's. Li Hai was assassinated, a clean kill. Mo Xiaobei was ambushed and killed with 2 knife strikes. The killer is likely an entry-level martial artist, uses a knife, and is good at hiding. Otherwise, he couldn't have gotten into the compound, and Li Hai wouldn't have been able to detect him. This isn't ordinary stealth, Mo Chongqing concluded. The shadow. Mon thought of one person, his killing intent intensifying. It has to be the shadow, Mo Chongqing agreed. Only a martial artist with the shadow's special talents could take out Li Hai so easily, and even kill Xiaobei. The shadow is a killer for hire, and wouldn't normally target the children of powerful families unless someone offered a reward he couldn't refuse. Instantly, the Mo family's leadership turned their suspicions towards several rival families. Mo Xiaobei's above-average talent wasn't a secret. With enough resources, the Mo family could produce a second grand martial artist in the next decade, increasing their power. Some families wouldn't want to see that happen, and sending the shadow to assassinate Mo Xiaobei wasn't out of the question. Investigate. Find out which family did this, and put out a hit on the shadow. I want him to regret this for the rest of his life. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Mo family initially suspected Shadow and other prominent families in Mo Xiaobei's murder, but they were dead wrong. The killer was a martial artist. That's why the Mo family's investigation went nowhere. They were barking up the wrong tree. How could they find Shadow when Shadow was already dead? Unless Tian deliberately flaunted the black shadow knife and his shadow talent, the Mo family would never connect the dots. For the next few days, Tian stuck to his body-forging exercises, acting like he didn't have a clue about anything, keeping a low profile for the time being. Meanwhile, Mo Xiaobei's death had the Linhai base buzzing. The loss of a genius with medium-level cultivation talent sent the Mo family into a full-blown frenzy, triggering skirmishes with other families and a wave of clandestine killings. Only the Lin family, the biggest power in the Linhai base, stepped in to put a lid on the feud. As time passed, the Mo family had no luck tracking down Shadow, assuming he'd skipped town and left the Linhai base. They reluctantly gave up, but the bounty on Shadow's head remained active. If Shadow ever resurfaced, he'd face the full force of the Mo family's wrath. 10 days later, things had calmed down in the Linhai base. Tian decided it was time to leave and head into the wild to hunt some beasts. He needed beast blood to reach the martial artist level quickly, and even after that, he'd need more to keep leveling up. But once he was out there, he wouldn't be back for a while, so he had to clue in his sister. Tian made up a story about the academy taking a group of top students on a training retreat, and she bought it hook, line, and sinker. This time, Tian packed 2 knives, the black shadow knife 4. When he was alone, and a fine iron knife he'd just bought for when he was around other people, along with some basic supplies. With everything prepped, Tian headed out of the base. East Gate, a bunch of soldiers were patrolling, mostly martial apprentices, with only the squad leader being a full-fledged martial artist. Warriors were valuable assets and were too important to waste on gate duty. The base had a solid number of warrior soldiers in its ranks. They were vital to defend against beast attacks. Being a soldier was one of the most promising careers at the coastal base, but it was also high risk. Plenty of soldiers met their end at the claws of beasts every year. Tian passed through the gate, and one of the soldiers watched him go, shaking his head. Another wannabe getting rich quick, he muttered. Does he think the wild is like the base? Kid's gonna be worm food by nightfall. He figured Tian was one of those martial artists risking it all for a big payday. A lot of them were like that. If they got lucky and stumbled upon a beast carcass in the wild and hauled it back, they wouldn't have to slave away for years. The potential reward made the risk worthwhile to some. The first kilometer or 2 outside the base were usually pretty safe. Any beasts that wandered into that zone were quickly taken care of by the warriors, unless it was during a full-on beast tide. If you wanted to hunt, you had to go farther out. Tian was headed for Xiaqingshan, a known beast habitat. They said Xiaqingshan was just a small range a century ago, but when the earth expanded, it grew hundreds of times larger. Now it's a massive mountain range, teeming with ancient trees and dense with beasts, a true beast paradise. Rumor has it, there are high-level beasts in the depths of Xiaqingshan, maybe even higher-level ones. I wonder if it's true. Yi Tian mused as he walked quickly. High-level beasts were forces to be reckoned with, requiring great martial artists to deal with. Even elite martial artists would have a hard time escaping one. Yi Tian wasn't planning on going deep into Xiaqingshan, he just wanted to bag a few beasts on the outskirts without drawing attention to himself. But less than 10 minutes from the base, before he even got to Xiaqingshan, he ran into a beast. Ironclad bull. Yi Tian's face turned serious as he stared at the 3-meter-long beast in front of him. The ironclad bull was no joke like a spotted snake, it was a legitimate low-level beast. Its strength and defense were way beyond that of a spotted snake. Even the average martial artist in the early stages would struggle against it. Typically, it would take a group of warriors to bring down an ironclad bull. Yi Tian gripped the fine iron knife, activated his speed talent, and swung at the bull's neck with shadow kill. Thunk, star, the knife felt like it hit steel, leaving only a white mark on the bull's neck without even breaking the skin. This fine iron knife is junk, and my strength is only 800 caddies, I can't even scratch the ironclad bull's hide. Yi Tian thought, frustrated, he immediately pulled out the shadow knife. The black shadow knife was much sharper than the iron knife. It could at least pierce the iron-armored bull's defense, and since nobody was around, he didn't have to worry about blowing his cover. Time to kill. Yi Tian became a blur of motion, attacking the ironclad bull again and again at incredible speed. The iron-armored bull wanted nothing more than to trample Yi Tian, but its speed was its biggest weakness. It was much slower than Yi Tian and couldn't land a hit. After a minute of relentless attacks, the ironclad bull finally collapsed. Collect the beast blood. Yi Tian grabbed his flask and collected as much blood as he could before stopping. He left the rest, not because he didn't want it, but because he couldn't carry it all. He did, however, cut off 10 caddies of ironclad beef. Word was, it was high-quality meat that tasted great. He kept moving. An hour later, Yi Tian arrived at Xiaqingshan. The journey had been far from smooth. He'd encountered several small beasts and once sensed an extremely powerful beast from a distance, feeling its immense pressure. Each time, he'd found a dark spot and entered shadow state to escape. Otherwise, he would have died at the beast's hands. He now had a true sense of the dangers of the wild. Without a team, a lone person had a 50-50 chance of not making it. Even hunting squads could be wiped out if they weren't careful, and this was close to the base, where there weren't as many beasts. Farther out, they were more numerous and more dangerous. Even if every martial artist in Linhai base teamed up, they'd just be feeding the beasts. Yi Tian had heard his parents say that the Linhai base was in a dead-end corner, lacking resources and not attracting powerful beasts. Otherwise, it would have been wiped off the map long ago. Arriving at Xiaqingshan, Yi Tian didn't rush into hunting, he already had the blood of a low-level beast. He decided to train for a few days before hunting again. He searched around and found a small, hidden cave, deciding to stay there for a while. Chapter 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This cave probably used to be home to some kind of beast, but judging by how things look inside, it's been a while since anything wild has been in here. I'm guessing whatever lived here probably kicked the bucket a long time ago, so it should be safe to train here for now. That was Yi Tian's assessment. With that, he felt comfortable enough to get started. He took a big swig of some low-grade beast blood and started his body-strengthening exercises. With a good supply of the stuff, Yi Tian spent 5 days in the cave, and his strength jumped again, up to around 900 pounds. After hitting that mark, though, it got tougher to keep improving, and the beast blood wasn't working as well anymore. Yi Tian already knew this would happen. He was actually doing pretty well. Even though it was slow, he was still getting stronger. Guys with less talent often hit a wall around 900 pounds and had to grind it out with tons of effort to slowly build up their strength and finally break through. Once he'd used up all the blood, Tian went back to hunting in Xiaqingshan. Every time he took down a beast, he'd head back to the cave to train. He also switched to eating mostly beast meat. The nutrition and energy in it were way better than regular food, and it helped him get stronger too. Hunt, train, hunt, and just like that, a month went by. Back in the cave, Tian finished his training for the day and checked his strength. Almost at 1,000 pounds, but I haven't gotten any stronger since yesterday. I must be right at the edge of breaking through to the next level. Once I push past this, I'll be a full-fledged martial artist. He said to himself. Instead of worrying about how to break through, he started practicing his sword techniques. He'd been working on them here and there over the past month. He hadn't had a ton of time, but he had a knack for swords, so he was making progress. His bronze-level shadow kill technique was already pretty good, but it was proving difficult to master completely. The manual says it's hard to master a bronze-level technique if your understanding of the sword isn't good enough. I've got a solid foundation, and I'm just one step away from really understanding the way of the sword, so that's what I'll focus on next. Tian decided, the way of the sword is about understanding the blade so well you can almost feel its potential. Tian wasn't sure how to do that, so he just kept practicing. Over and over, he tried to understand the secrets of the technique. When he got tired, he'd drink some beast blood and do his body-strengthening exercises. Another 2 weeks passed like this. Then, one day, Tian felt something click. All sorts of insights about the sword flooded his mind, and he couldn't help but close his eyes. His whole presence changed, becoming sharp like a blade. The air around him felt thick and heavy. Boom. The way of the sword exploded within him, and invisible waves of energy slammed into the stone walls, sending dust flying. Got it. Tian smiled. Suddenly, he felt a sort of shackle break within him. Could it be? Tian thought of something, quickly downed a few more gulps of beast blood, and went back to his body-strengthening exercises. Streams of energy from the blood filled his body, strengthening him from the inside out. This time, it was different. Tian could feel power surging up everywhere, making him stronger than ever. He knew he was breaking through, going from a martial arts student to a true martial artist. Finally, the transformation was complete. Phew! Tian let out a deep breath, clenched his fists, and felt the power inside him. He was thrilled. So much stronger than before. Definitely over 1,000 pounds. I'm a martial artist. Tian had reached his goal for this trip. But he wasn't ready to go home yet. He wanted to master the shadow kill technique first. Having grasped the way of the sword, he understood the technique even better. It only took him 3 days to completely master it. The speed of the shadow kill was now incredible. Even a skilled martial artist might have trouble dodging it. Strength-wise, I'd say I can hold my own against a mid-level martial artist, but I'm still not as strong as someone at the top. They're too powerful and can use their inner energy to defend themselves. Even the shadow kill might not be able to break through that, Tian thought. He also realized that the body-strengthening exercises weren't helping him anymore. Apparently, martial artists could absorb energy from their surroundings to get stronger, but he didn't know how to do that, so, he needed to go back to the Linhai base to keep improving. Time to head back. Tian packed up his gear, wrapped up the beast parts he'd collected, and walked out of the cave, heading toward the Linhai base. Linhai base, the east gate. Tian hadn't been back in a month. His clothes were torn, his face was dirty, and he even had a strange smell, but the guards didn't dare look down on him. They gave him envious and respectful glances. They knew Tian was a martial artist, and one who'd been out in the wild for a long time. Those were the ones you didn't mess with. After entering the base, Tian didn't go straight home. He found a hotel, took a bath, changed clothes, and then went home. When he saw Yu studying, he felt relieved. He'd been worried something might have happened while he was gone, but everything was fine. The next morning, Tian went out. He was heading to the martial arts black market located underground. The black market was a popular spot for martial artists, and a hub of activity for them. Regular folks couldn't get in, only martial artists were allowed. Tian had heard about the black market for a while but had never been. He was curious to see what it was like. Now that he was a martial artist, he wanted to check it out, plus, he needed to buy some things there. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An entrance to the black market. Tian walked straight towards the two guards at the door. They eyed him, noticing he was unfamiliar, but sensing a martial artist's aura, they didn't stop him. Inside, a stone staircase led down. Soon, Tian found himself in the actual underground black market. It was vast, the size of a large square, with many shops and warriors milling about. He found a shop to buy supplies and sold his hunted beast materials, making a decent 200,000 yuan. Wu Gu, he said, stopping in front of one shop, examining it closely. It was clearly the largest in the black market. Inside, a young female clerk approached him respectfully. Sir, can I help you find anything? We sell everything here, you can get almost anything you want. Do you have any martial artist cultivation manuals? Tian asked. The clerk smiled. You mean the Yuan force forging body method? We only have the basic level here. The advanced techniques are only available at the main base. Yuan force forging body method. Tian was hearing this term for the first time. He couldn't be blamed for not knowing. The Linhai base leaders were very strict about controlling martial arts knowledge. It was difficult for martial artists, let alone ordinary people, to access it. The academy didn't teach much either, a silent rule enforced by the base's higher-ups. Do you have a catalog of items I can look at? Tian asked. Yes, sir. The clerk nodded and quickly retrieved a list. It included many items, not just the Yuan force forging body method, but also beast blood, healing potions, weapons, secret techniques, rare treasures, some costing millions alone. Tian thought he was rich, but seeing this, he realized he barely had enough for his current martial artist training. One basic Yuan force forging body method, a martial artist profile, 3 intermediate beast blood samples, a beast map, and 3 bottles of Qingyuan liquid. Tian said. The clerk calculated the total. 50,000 yuan for the Yuan force forging body method, 10,000 yuan for the martial artist profile, 500,000 yuan for the beast blood, 20,000 yuan for the beast map, and 1 million yuan for the Qingyuan liquid. That's 1.58 million yuan total. Spending 1.58 million yuan stung, but luckily, he had Li Xiyuan's fortune to draw on. Otherwise, he couldn't have afforded it. After paying, Tian collected his purchases. As he was about to leave, the clerk spoke. Sir, the director of Wu Gu would like to see you. Do you have a moment? The director wants to see me. Tian frowned, hesitant, but decided it was best to go. He was curious what the director wanted. The clerk led him to the second floor. There, he met the director. A girl. Tian was surprised. He expected someone older, but she looked about 18 or 19. He instinctively checked her talent. What he saw shocked him. Human, Yuling cultivation talent, high, swordsmanship talent, medium, speed talent, inferior. A true genius. Compared to her, Mo Xiaobei and the others were nothing. High-level talent, medium swordsmanship, and low-level speed. Considering her age and background, she must already be an elite martial artist. Tian thought, becoming excited. He didn't care much about the swordsmanship since he already had that level. But the speed and cultivation talents, he wanted to copy them. The speed talent would enhance his own, and the cultivation talent could transform his own. I can copy one more talent, but while the speed talent is useful, it's not crucial. It's better to get the cultivation talent. I may not get another chance to meet Yuling. So, Tian gave an innocent smile and extended his hand. Hello, my name is Tian. Yuling hesitated, then lightly shook his hand before pulling away. She didn't know that the moment their hands touched, Tian copied her advanced cultivation talent. Got it. Tian was ecstatic. Hello, I'm Yuling, the director of Wu Gu, she said, gesturing for the clerk to leave. Director Yu, why did you want to see me? Yi Tian asked. Yu Ling sat down, looked at Yi Tian, and asked, you were recently promoted to martial artist, weren't you? Yes, and I'm guessing Wu Gu is a major force in the Linhai base. Yi Tian responded. No. Yu Ling shook her head. We're not part of the Linhai base. Linhai is small, making it difficult to connect with other bases, but major bases have branches here because Linhai's location is strategically important. It's a gateway. Wu Gu is from one of those bases. From a major base, Yi Tian understood. No wonder Wu Gu sold so many valuable items. He already suspected Yu Ling came from a major base and had a privileged background, but what was she doing in Linhai? Director Yu, why did you ask me here? Yi Tian asked, even more curious. Would you be willing to join Wu Gu? I see you're only 16 or 17, already a martial artist. More importantly, you're not from any of the major families here, which makes you even more valuable. I want to invite you to join Wu Gu. Yu Ling said. Director Yu, I'm not interested in joining any organizations right now. Yi Tian refused immediately. Chapter 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just kidding, joining the martial pavilion would be a bad move for him. If Yi Tian's talent was just a so-so, he should totally join the martial pavilion. It's huge, loaded with resources, and would give him access to the best training, but he's got the potential to become a real standout, maybe even the best on the planet. Joining the pavilion means they'll evaluate his talent. What happens when his abilities keep improving? How's he going to explain that? He can't keep saying he found some treasure that amps up his skills. Once, maybe. But nobody's going to buy it every time. Even if Wu Gu is impressed, he'll start getting greedy, wanting to know his secrets, and then his copy ability will be exposed. Yi Tian knows the score. He's not joining any group. It's just asking for trouble. He'll build his own thing eventually. You're turning them down. Yu Ling was floored. Do you even know how massive the martial pavilion is? They could wipe out Linhai base with a single strike. That she couldn't wrap her head around why Yi Tian would pass on such an amazing opportunity. Tons of geniuses in the big cities would kill for a shot at the martial pavilion, but they don't stand a chance. I really don't want to join any groups, Yi Tian repeated. Whatever. Yu Ling stopped pushing it after a bit more small talk. Yi Tian left. As soon as he was gone, an old guy walked in from the next room. Miss, why'd you invite some fighter from a backwater base? No matter how young he is, what kind of genius could come from Linhai base? At best, he's got okay talent. And okay isn't good enough in a big city. Unless he's got some special ability, the martial pavilion isn't interested, the old man said, sounding confused. No big deal. I was just surprised to see a young fighter like that in a place like Linhai. I thought I'd recruit him as an assistant, but he doesn't even want to join the martial pavilion, so he's definitely not going to be my assistant, Yu Ling replied casually. To Yu Ling and the old man, Yi Tian was nobody, but for Yi Tian, this encounter was a lucky break. He was stuck in Linhai base, thinking he wouldn't be able to copy any advanced skills for ages. Then he runs into a genius from a big city and snags some awesome talent. He figured it would take forever to reach the elite martial artist level. But now, with this advanced skill, he thinks he could make it in a year or two, tops. Back at home, Yi Yu was at school, so Yi Tian had the place to himself. He didn't waste any time and jumped right into merging. Boom. That familiar, intense pain hit him hard. He felt like his body was being ripped apart. 10 minutes later, Yi Tian felt a jolt and let out a huge sigh of relief. He took a look at his skills. Human, Yi Tian, cultivation talent, high, speed talent, basic, knife talent, intermediate, shadow talent, basic. My high-level cultivation talent is a fusion of my medium-level talent and Yu Ling's high-level talent. I'm actually more talented than her. Yi Tian said to himself, a gleam in his eye. He grabbed the Yuan Force Forging Body Method manual, studied it closely, and read the martial artist information again. After a while, Tian finally got a handle on how martial artists train. The forging method they use is actually called the basic forging method. Martial artists need to toughen up their bodies, because their body is the foundation for everything. The Yuan force forging body method is different. The basic body forging method is about unlocking physical potential and hardening the body. The Yuan force forging body method is about absorbing natural energy, refining it into Yuan force, storing it in the core, and then using that Yuan force to toughen the body. In the early stages, they harden their skin. Then their muscles in the mid stages. And finally bones in the later stages. Once they've toughened their skin, muscles, and bones, they've reached the peak of the martial artist stage. At this point, they can lift 10,000 caddies. Using the Yuan force, they can double that, which is 20,000 caddies. According to the information, 10,000 caddies is the limit for a martial artist, 100,000 for an elite martial artist. They didn't say the limit for a grand martial artist, but even 100,000 is crazy. Tian was blown away. He was finally realizing how strong martial artists really are, way stronger than he thought. He's still weak, only lifting a little over 1,000 caddies. He hasn't even started practicing the Yuan force forging body method or formed any Yuan force. So, he's not a true early-stage martial artist yet. Time to train. Tian followed the 9 movements in the Yuan force forging body method and started absorbing the natural energy. Boom. Streams of energy poured into Tian's body through his pores. The Yuan force forging body method turned it into wisps of Yuan force that flowed into his core. Then, the Yuan force surged out of his core, spreading to his skin and starting the refining process. A tingling sensation ran through his skin. It was a little painful. Tian knew this was the skin hardening process. He needs to harden his skin to withstand weapons. As he hardened his skin, Tian could feel his strength growing more noticeably than when he was just a fighter. Even someone with poor talent would have a hard time absorbing energy when training with the Yuan force forging body method. Like, someone with a basic cultivation talent might only absorb a wisp of energy every 12 hours, which would be like turtle speed. People with even worse talent probably can't absorb any energy at all. They're stuck after becoming martial artists. Even if they used blood from an intermediate level beast, it's hard for them to improve. But I can absorb so much energy because of my high-level cultivation talent. It's a huge difference, Tian thought while training. After a while, Tian tried using the blood of an intermediate beast to boost his training. Intermediate beast blood is packed with powerful energy that hardens the skin and flesh better. Using it is way faster than just using the Yuan force forging body method, and his high-level cultivation talent makes him absorb beast blood more effectively than someone with just medium-level talent. He tested it out. The triple amplification effect boosts my training speed by 3 times at the martial artist level. That's awesome. Tian was stoked.